Right.
So start.
Oh.
Okay, we are recording.
It just
Anara,
started.
please. Yep.
Okay.
Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'm Anara Tabashaliva, along with co-host Dr. Victor Fett, Dr. Katerina Shrey, and our program producer, Professor Larry Shrey. We host a weekly discussion panel on Russia's war on Ukraine with guests from Ukraine, military experts, medical personnel, academics, artists, literary figures, and relief workers. Our panel is recorded and circulated nationally and internationally. We appreciate your comments and feedback. Special thanks to Marshall University Libraries and MUIT for making this weekly event possible. If you are joining us live on Teams, please feel free to use the chat to post any questions for our guests. A quick greetings to our viewers in Ukraine from Dr. Katerina Shrey.
Вітаємо наших слухачів в Україні з глибоким покліном. Ми далі свідки вашого страшного терпіння і також вашої великої сили. Дякую вам за вашу участь в нашій тижневій програмі.
Thank you. Today's guest will be introduced by Dr. Victor Fett.
Thank you, Anara. This is 100th meeting of M-Ukraine discussion panel at Marshall University, West Virginia. Thank you, everyone who came live and who will be watching us in recording. It also is the date of 700 days of tragic war in Ukraine. And next week, we have commemoration of the Holocaust, the International Holocaust Remembrance Day on January 27th. We invited the members of Tsal Kaplun Foundation from New Jersey with an overview of Jewish roots in Ukraine and the Holocaust to commemorate this day and to draw more attention to the events of 80 years ago and to current situation both in Ukraine and Israel, the war for existence, the existential struggle we have today. Welcome to Joseph Menaker, Michael Levin, and Leo Vayn. They will hold their presentation and introductions, please. The rest of us, please turn off our cameras and microphones. Thank you.
Hello, everybody. And thank you so much for inviting us, and thank you so much for coming to this presentation. And welcome to the Tsal Kaplun Foundation presentation. As it was mentioned, the name is Jewish Roots in Ukraine and the Holocaust. And tomorrow we are commemorating International Holocaust Remembrance Day. And this presentation was specifically prepared for your program. And before delving into the core of our presentation, let me introduce the key figures behind Tsal Kaplun Foundation. First of all, Leonid Vayn. Leonid Vayn is responsible for TKF strategy and research methodology. Next one is Michael Levin. He manages the research team and oversees TKF infrastructure. And myself, Joseph Menaker, I provide overall operational management for the organization. Now, without further ado, let me invite Michael Levin to narrate the compelling story about the Jewish roots and heritage in Ukraine. Michael, please.
Thank you. The history of Jewish people in territory of present-day Ukraine traces back to the late 8th century, when Jewish merchants, known as Radanites, navigated the north branch of the Silk Road. Forced to redirect their caravans northward due to militant attack in the south, they traveled through Samarkand, Khazaria, Kiev, in the future territory of Poland. Along the way, these traders organized fairs leading to the appearance of small Jewish settlements. For example, in the 9th century, a settlement formed on the intersection of Silk Road and the Vistula River, where the University of Krakow stands today. Over time, this place developed into a significant city, the capital of young Polish kingdom. As the Polish kingdom fostered trade, Jewish traders, predominantly from German lands, gradually moved eastward, establishing a network of trade routes and giving the rise the townships known as miasteczka, small place in Polish, and shtetl in Yiddish. After the Lublin Union in year 1569, the Polish-Lithuanian Commonwealth emerged as one of the largest and most heavily populated countries in Europe, known for its religion tolerance. This time, Lithuania transferred area named Podolia, Kiev in Volhynia to the Polish crown. It's on the map here. The part of new landlords favored to live in the new capital, Warsaw, and they appointed Jewish managers to oversee their lands and collect taxes. Jews continued to support the method of trades, fairs, rented inns, taverns, and lands. However, in this period of gross instability, named Golden Age of Shtetls, was disrupted by uprising of Bogdan Khmelnytsky. In the early 18th century, Jews moved back to Volhynia. In census in year 1765, over 800,000 Jews inhabited the Commonwealth. A Jew named Tsal Kaplun, our ancestor, from town in Volhynia, Izaslav or Zaslav, was among these residents. If you look at the map of old shtetls in Ukraine and pick up any period, we'll see in this period in 16th century, the small shtetl Izaslav, with population in 1765, 2000, more than 2,000 people. The landscape shifted after the partition of Commonwealth and dissolution of Poland as sovereign state in 1795. The golden age of shtetls came to the end as Russian government imposed Pale of Settlement, restricted where Jewish population could be live. Also, the trade from west, this area, severely constrained. In this map you see the name of province where Pale of Settlements exist. And in 1844, Jewish autonomy was abolished. Before Russian Revolution, approximately 30% of Jewish population left the country. During the Holocaust in Ukraine, around 1.5 million Jews lost their lives. Our family lost more than half of our relatives. The children of Holocaust survivors left the Soviet Union around 30-40 years ago. 10 years ago, the descendants of Tsal Kaplun decided to visit the places where their grands were born. Leo Vayn will continue this story.
Good afternoon. I would like to share our story of traveling to Ukraine in 2015 to find traces of our family roots. Michael Levin, whom you just heard, is engaged in family research since 1960s. He built family tree for several families. Searching for family records in Ukrainian archives, we came to conclusion that we have to go to sources. Thus, the idea of traveling to the Ukraine was born. Also, we wanted to see and smell those places we had heard about and to walk to the people and to talk to the people still there and see if they can shed some light on the remnants of our forebear presence in Ukraine. We felt that our experience in visiting ancestor homes would be interesting for others outside of the family, so photo and video recording was essential. We asked Julia Melamed, a well-known documentary filmmaker, to join our expedition. Julia formulated her approach as follows: no script. Our story would be shot as an investigation by eyewitness reporter. The film crew would simply follow us and record our experience. We planned the trip for August 2014, but a war with Eastern Ukrainian separatists was flared up. By the spring of 2015, the political situation in Ukraine improved, and our small group of relatives went to Ukraine in August 2015. What we saw in Ukraine: dying villages with boarded houses, photo you can see, outdated infrastructure, peaceful and beautiful city of Kyiv, the capital of the country. Resolve of Ukrainians to defend their homeland. Helpful attitude of authorities and local people to our mission. Numerous Holocaust killing sites in and around each village and town that we visited. Overgrown and unkept Jewish cemeteries. On third day of travel, we asked our film director, Julia, what is dominant event in our journey so far? She answered sadly, visiting Holocaust killing site. In places along our journey, very little that remains about Jewish people presence. We just saw abundant overgrown graves at Jewish cemeteries. The heard brief reminiscences of eyewitnesses who were children at the start of the war. The main question of the film, The Road to Krasnostav, asked its audience and subject of the film is why this could have taken place. What change in people's psyche that allows them to kill those who used to be their neighbors? Horror of Krasnostav tragedy repeated in thousands of villages and towns populated by Jews makes the Holocaust not just Jewish, but global humanitarian tragedy. In 2015, CBS correspondent Lara Logan asked Father Du Bois, author of the book Holocaust by Bullet, why does the Holocaust matter all these years later? It matters because it still happened, he tells her. It's not the past, unfortunately. It seems to be part of the future. Father Du Bois sees genocide as a human disease that slips and awakens from one generation to the next. We witness appearance of this virus in mass killing Ukrainian civilians by Russian army in Bucha, Izium, and some other places. Like the Nazis, Russian soldiers feel justified in killing those who are different. The film The Road to Krasnostav received International Award of Merit at 2016 International Film Festival for Peace, Inspiration, and Equality. In follow 4 years, we produced 3 more documentaries related to Jewish history in Ukraine and the Holocaust. Now, Joseph Menaker will tell you a story how we started a non-profit foundation after our trip to Ukraine. Please, Joseph.
Thank you, Leo. After the trips to Ukraine, it was pretty evident for us that we need to start non-for-profit organization, and we decided to name it Tsal Kaplun Foundation, based on the reference Michael Levin already mentioned. It was our ancestor from 18th century, from which we feel that all we are coming from. So we decided to formalize our organization, and we started 501c3 non-for-profit organization in New York State in August of 2016. The mission of Tsal Kaplun Foundation is to preserve the history of Jewish culture, communities, and heritage in ex-Soviet lands. Over the years, up to date, we achieved certain, especially for us, significant milestones. We created a collection of movies and trailers showcasing our expedition to Ukraine, and noteworthy discoveries available now on our YouTube channel. I invite everybody to take a look. Some of the movies are pretty good. We were recognized in 2020 as a recipient of prestigious International Holocaust Remembrance Alliance grant for the Shoah Atrocities Atlas. This organization operating under European Commission combating anti-Semitism. We also are informal consultants to the EU Commission combating anti-Semitism regarding killing sites preservation in Eastern Europe. We also are associate member with International Association of Jewish Genealogy, Genealogical Society, and recipient of the Malcolm Stern grant for creating interactive map of Jewish communities in the Russian Empire based on 1897 census. Our major activities focus and concentrated on two main websites. One of them you can see on your screen. It is tkfgen.org. This is a hub of information on Jewish cultural heritage, including archive, memoirs, family histories, and the chronology of the Holocaust in Ukraine. I encourage everybody to visit this website. And another very important website, Michael, if you can open it, is showahatlas.org. This website is a repository of our research, consistently published and updated. And it's featuring an interactive atlas of atrocities in Ukraine. It's listed every killing site and also connection to the certain Jewish communities. Now let's delve into more details about our main project, which is all about Shoah Atrocities Map, Shoah Atrocities Atlas, as I mentioned, and Leonid Vayn will provide us the overview of our major project, where all our resources and efforts are concentrated at this point. Thank you.
Thank you, Joseph. First, I would like to talk about specifics of the Holocaust in Ukraine. On the eve of German attack on the USSR, over 2.6 million Jews lived on the territory of Ukraine. By the number of Jews, Ukraine ranked second in Europe after Poland and third in the world after United States and Poland. The extermination of Jews by the German army and their local accomplices began on the first day of Nazi Germany attack on the USSR on June 22, 1941. In the beginning, Jewish men were executed to prevent them from organizing future resistance. But in the second half of August of 1941, there was a fundamental change in application of Holocaust policy. The Germans began total extermination of Jewish people. During 6 months of the second half of 1941, more than 500,000 Jews were exterminated in Ukraine. The Nazis conducted the majority of genocide in Europe by deporting Jews to death camps, located mostly in Poland. In the Soviet Union, however, the murder was local. Sheer size of the killing in inadequate railway system requires different approach. Nazis come up with simple solution. Mobile execution unit like the Einsatzgruppen with help of local Ukrainian police gathered, shot and killed the Jews on their home soil. Villages become execution site and villagers become witnesses and sometimes accomplices of killing. After the execution, the Nazis cover up their victim in mass ditches and continue on to another village. Paul Shapiro, director of Center for Advanced Holocaust Study at the US Holocaust Memorial Museum, painted a grim picture of the Holocaust by bullet. Quote, "These victims, mostly women, children, and old people, were taken from their homes on foot or by cart or truck to locations just outside of the town and villages where they lived. If even that far, they were shot, usually the same day or hour at close range, face to face, or in the back, one human killing another, and all in the presence of local residents, the victim, non-Jewish neighbor, even friend. Unlike Poland and Germany, where the Holocaust remained visible through the searing symbol of the extermination camps, the horror in Ukraine, Belarus, and other Soviet republics was hidden away, first by Nazis, then by Soviets. The role of Ukraine police in the Holocaust. Number of Ukrainian Soviet citizens serving in German army in police during World War II was about 250,000. You can see in the table number of Soviet citizens broken down by nationality. But also several 100,000 Ukrainians hold position in local and regional administration, helping to implement Nazi policy. Ukrainians serve in the Wehrmacht as well as the Waffen-SS. A considerable number of them also served in the police force. Schutzmannschaft battalions were organized and had sprung up in the beginning of occupation. They were formed from POW of acceptable racial group, first and foremost the Volksdeutsche, and then the Ukrainian. Olesia Khromenchuk, University of New England, wrote that members of the Ukrainian police represented all strata of Ukrainian society. Peasant, workers, and lumpen proletariat constitute the bulk of the rank and file, while more educated individuals from the middle class filled the officer rank. 35,000 Ukrainians served in 58 of the Schutzmannschaft battalion. Most of this unit consisted of Ukrainian volunteers from eastern and central Ukraine. Ukrainian nationalist volunteers were frequently driven by the nationalistic idea of state building, which for many involved the desire to create an ethnically pure state, so they organically supported Nazi anti-Semitic policies. Rosalinsky-Liebe described roots of Ukrainian anti-Semitism in his paper, The Fascist Kernel of Ukrainian Genocidal Nationalism. Quote, Ukrainian nationalists combine a modern, racial-based concept of anti-Semitism with older, traditional Ukrainian anti-Semitism, which was based on religion and pre-modern economic, social, and political circumstances. The racist anti-Semitism impacted Ukrainian nationalism in the late 1920s through 1930 and was received to a great extent from the ideology of German national socialism. The traditional Ukrainian anti-Semitism was less aggressive, but very deeply rooted in Ukrainian national culture. This was not an exception, but rather a common understanding of the relationship between Jews and Ukrainians, which was familiar to most members of the Ukrainian political and military organization. See photo rally in Stanislav, Glory to Ukraine, in 1940. Martin Dean, in his assessment of the role of Ukrainian police in the implementation of the Holocaust, argued that significance of this group can be seen from the fact that this predominantly rural area at the time of massacre in the summer and autumn of 1942, they outnumbered the German gendarmes by between 5 and 10 to 1. The very presence of the locals thus enabled the completion of the mass killing. The rounding up and escorting of large number of Jews would have been difficult without the active support of the local police unit. Vayn assessment points to similar conclusion. Quote, thousands of Ukrainian policemen provide the German commissariat with the necessary manpower and local information about the population and terrain. 100 in the mobile battalion and stationary SS police unit participate directly in the killing of Jews. But some Ukrainians live by different moral code. They risk their life to save their Jewish neighbors. Yad Vashem awarded the title Righteous Among the Nation to 2,659 citizens of Ukraine. Ukraine ranked first in terms of number of righteous after Poland, the Netherlands, and France. In reality, the number of rescuers was greater, up to 5,000, since there are a category of people for whom evidence of rescuing Jews was either rejected by Yad Vashem Commission or it was not submitted to Yad Vashem at all. Statistics of Holocaust in Ukraine. Alexander Kruglov, who is the authority on the Holocaust in Ukraine, estimated that 1,550,000 Jews were killed in Ukraine during the Holocaust. About 2,000 sites were employed for execution of Jewish population. Statistic of loss of life in different regions of Ukraine is presented in this table. Most western region of Ukraine experienced heavy loss of Jewish population. 97% of Jews were killed in Ternopil region, 94% in Ivano-Frankivsk region, 89% in Volyn region, 85% in Lviv and Rivne regions, 82% in Khmelnytsky region, and 81% in Vinnytsia and Transcarpathia regions. Jewish residents of Western Ukraine didn't have time and transportation means to escape marching German army. Also, the Ukrainian police in Western regions were deeply involved in annihilation of the Jews. They assisted the Ensigns command in mass shooting, guarded Jews in the ghettos, hunting Jews who escaped from the ghetto, and helped the German to dissolve ghetto and transport Jews to execution places. The Germans very dependent on them and could not have exterminated the Jews as efficiently as they did without their help. Overall, 55% of Jewish population of Ukraine perished in the Holocaust. Now, Mikhail Levin will guide you through the Atlas of Shoah atrocities in Ukraine. Michael, please.
Thank you, Leah.
The SAMU project intends to provide visual representation of Holocaust scale and create digital atlas of Holocaust killing sites in Ukraine. Our researchers in Ukraine collected data about 1,500 Holocaust killing sites. It is a map of 1,500 Holocaust killing sites. The red markers on this map with detailed information about the place. We can zoom in and see more places. Old red markers is killing site in Ukraine. You can pick, I'm selected one of the place, one market, red market. Open this and read details about this place. Around 900 Jews have been killed in November 1942, victims from Varoslavgrad, today Lugansk. The first monument was created in 1945 and restored in 2004. We did not find any reference to this killing site in Yad Vashem. It is on our page, you will see. Not any testimonies on Yahad Unu. There is a reference to different documents connected to this killing place and links to different testimonies. The unique option of this map is scale of time. Military action on the German is scale of time. Military action of the German in Romanian armies started in June 1941. The map shows how the number of killing sites getting more day by day until July 44. More and more killing sites. I like time machine. Also, we can pick up any period of the war. The other approach to our project, it is application. Our application is from a regional point of view. Today, Ukraine consists of 25 regions or oblasts. The page shows 22 regions and number of killing sites per region. For example, select one region. Here we select region Rivne, 69 killing site. Open the page. The main part of this page is our review written by Holocaust guru, our editor, Alexander Kruglov. This article, 53 pages, describes all events in detail in the Rivne region. Is a lot of information. On the bottom of this page, you see the map of the region with the same scale of time. And I will show now how to use this map for search any killing site. For example, here we try to find any killing site made in forest. And there's from 69 killing sites, we see 17 killing sites deep in forest. And we select one of these killing sites, Rovna, Sosinki forest, on the map, and select details. For a couple days, more than 70,000 victims. What happens? You will able to read it is in the summary on English and summary on original language Ukrainian. As Joseph said, our main goal to create educational website which could be useful for American and Ukrainian school. And it is text help it. The other way to find killing site is go to Jewish community. In this case, we have Jewish community Rovna, and we select Rovna. You see Jewish population of this town in the beginning of 20th century and before the war. Also, we find a link to read about history of this place. When this town was occupied. Here. A link to Yad Vashem list of victims. And the main idea of this page is to show all places where the residents of town were killed. Here we see 4 killing places, killing sites. And now we can go to the other killing site, Kostopol War Forest. You look details about this place, the same summary, different was summary about this killing site, link to Yachat Unum, different survival testimony, witness testimony, different book connected or describe, which describe this killing site. In this short presentation of our project, Holocaust killing site, it is in Ukraine. Joseph Menaker will continue our story.
Thank you, Michael. As of today, the correlation between Holocaust and the war against Hamas and the current wave of anti-Semitism is undeniable. We strongly believe that to combat anti-Semitism effectively, the research of the Holocaust remains as relevant as ever. For this crucial research, TKF employs approximately 15 Ukrainian researchers, coordinators, and scientific editors. Most of them are located in Ukraine. Some of them were forced to immigrate to the neighboring countries like Poland and Germany. For example, our main scientific editor, Dr. Alexander Kruglov, now lives in Germany, we think temporarily. We also heavily rely on dedicated team of volunteers in the USA who play a vital role in our work and working on our project every day. And we have around 12 volunteers in the States. In order to finance these activities, we rely on the grants, as I mentioned before, and we conduct numerous fundraising efforts, including live events, Facebook fundraisers, and direct email solicitations. If you wish to contribute, you will be more than welcome, and you can make direct donation through our website. So it's probably, we are a little bit shorter because we shorted in the last minute our presentation, but I think we have some time for the questions, and please ask any questions and we will try to reply. And thank you so much, kid. Any questions?
Thank you. It was very moving and, of course, tragic. Let's pause for a moment while our moderators and viewers, we have several people present here live, please ask your comments. I just want to thank Leonid and Joseph and Michael for their work. For we understand this takes many years of labor from so many people. No one escaped this tragedy. Talking about Jewish roots in Ukraine, my own family was in some of these killing sites, perished in 1941 in Rivne and in Odessa. Please, questions and comments. Open your microphone and a camera. We have time. Carol.
Thank you. I'm not Ukrainian and I'm not Jewish. I am staggered by the elegance of the technology and the horror of the content that the technology is dealing with, is tracking. I don't know how you manage the cognitive dissonance of dealing with this. How do you take care of yourselves as you do this research?
Yeah, I can ask. It takes time to, we know because we grow in shadow of Holocaust. So, but when we live in Soviet Union, we don't know much. But my mother every year go to that Krasnostav and participate in remembrance of killing place. So we was aware. But when I came here, I started know more. But when we start to do this work because we think we have to do it to preserve memory of people who killed. So it takes time and you brain adjust. And because you believe it's heavy, you're absolutely right. Believe that we have to do it. It's heavy stuff.
Let me add something to what Leo was saying. We have professional translators who are translating from Ukrainian into English, and one of them, her name is Tatiana. She's doing translation for us like for the last 2-3 years, and every 2-3 months when we are talking to her, she said, "Look, I cannot do it anymore. I need a break. I need like 2 months break. I need 3 months break." Because it started to hit the mental state. I'm asking the same question our researchers who are researching this on daily basis. I said, now you're going through the documents, statistics, and personal stories all the time. How you handle that? He said, they're like doctors. They're getting used to it, and they're trying to separate themselves from what they're doing. Otherwise, I said, if to allow it to get through you, you will get to the mental institution pretty fast.
Yeah, and also
I would like to add one more thing, just come. Some of them, like Pavel Kozlenko, that Victor know, writing poetry. It's helped to move from one
aspect to another.
Yeah, and couple volunteers who made pages, they said they don't want to continue because when you made the page, you have to read by accidentally or not accidentally, for example, court case in one place, and the policeman write down what he see and how it happens. It is a horror. So
Yes,
we
and
lost
it's
a couple of volunteers.
what Michael told, yes.
Some people cannot take it; they quit. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, when you're reading, what our presentation, it's just surface. But when you start reading document about details, your hair going, it's hard to do.
It's exploding. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank
I
you
have a
for your
I have
patience.
a follow-up question. I'm not sure quite how to articulate it. I don't study math. I don't study history. I work in mental health, and I'm all about helping people with their mental health. And what I'm seeing happening in the world right now is underscoring to me that I need to be reading history, that I need to be paying attention. And I'm a fairly educated person. What I'm seeing happening is people ignoring history, and the old adage about if you don't read your history, you're bound to repeat it. It feels like that's exactly what we're living. Do you care to comment on that?
I might say that unfortunately it's spiral. It's a repeat of history event, negative event. I never thought that I will live to see two wars in the same time, one Europe and Middle East, and atrocities on both sides. It's unbelievable. So I think,
there is only one cure to that. It's education. I do not see any other ways, to educate, to explain, to talk and talk and talk, and give examples. Unfortunately, I wish there will be another way, but so far we didn't come up. And the whole idea of our project is educational. We are willing to distribute these interactive maps to every museum, to every institution.
university.
Yeah. So, and we are doing that not only in US. We are doing this in Ukraine. We have relationships with a bunch of small historical museums, and some of them already have a map, and we are working on the way to present the map, because what our map does is provide the local perspective on what happened, because people in Rivne maybe care much less what happened around Kiev, but they want to know what happened around Rivne, or what happened around Izaslav and so on. And that's why this map is, we believe, pretty valuable too.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Carol. Your questions are always very poised, and we are glad to have you as a regular contributor to the program. And Pavlo Kozlenko was mentioned, who is the director of Holocaust Museum in Odessa. We are honored to have him on this program. And indeed, he started writing some poetry, which actually is in Russian. It has been just translated into Ukrainian by another Ukrainian translator. So the events were tragic and complex. One question I had, while we might be hearing others, but Anara, please, you have your question, hand raised. Yes.
Yes, thank you very much for great presentations. And as educators, we are interested how we can actually engage young people, how to teach ethnic discrimination, and also what we can learn from the past. And that's very important, especially if we consider Ukraine and Russia, how can young people engage in reconciliation process, especially how you visualize the future of young Russians and non-Russian people who live in former Soviet Union and Ukrainians. So that's where your experience is very important for future reconciliation. Thank you.
And Anara, exactly. And what's your question?
Okay, sorry. I mixed several
yeah,
questions.
I'm trying to understand.
I think because you experience actually, and you discussed discrimination, ethnic discrimination, and because today we actually see that young people may not fully understand sensitivity of this issue, and the most important question, how can young people, say Ukrainians and Russians and other actually people, engage in reconciliation process because in
Yeah.
the future they
Yeah,
should
I understand.
cooperate.
Let me try to give you some examples. Our experience, first of all, is I would say is limited. We are not dealing too much with the young generation. We are trying to deal with them through our map, through our presentations. I can tell you, for example, before COVID in Izyaslav, we engage with local historical museum and with local schools. And we can tell you that people in local schools on the day when the killing of Jews of Izyaslav happened, they're bringing the school children to the killing site. They're bringing school children to which is around Izyaslav, or they're brought a lot of school children to the opening of the monuments. If it goes through the schools, it works. Some of our researchers are working at the universities and working in schools, and it's becoming the part of curriculum, talking about anti-Semitism, talking about Holocaust, which are related things. But the best way to go to schools, to go to institutions, to have the panels, any other ways, I don't know, just educate again, as I said, and educate and tell and show it in the form which is understandable. Specifically, we believe our map, which is pretty comprehensive and has a slider, it's a good tool for the young generation. Leo or Michael, if you want, can add to what I said.
I can add to what Jojo said. I believe in two things, three: education, direct contact with not just only young, but with people on opposite side, and support from society, from organization, educational organization, and government organization. If these three means come together, it can be overcome. It's the same like, okay, we came to Ukraine, it's the same place it was where my grandfather, grandmother, and some other was killed. And we meet with people some of them was children at that time, and they talk what they attend. So we established contact, and they was emotionally also realized and was like, we was on the same side. Not probably, but many people come when we open memorial in Izyaslav, and they talk about their feeling, and it was not just word. I feel how it was from their heart. So we established contact, and children came, and they was teach about that. So this is start of growing trust. Michael, do you want to add something? It's important.
I'm a little pessimistic in this.
Okay.
Why? Because any time, any school, when I spoke with person in Holocaust Museum in Florida or something else, they have their program, they using their view on Holocaust. In Arabian synagogue, stopped by and said, "Oh, Michael, do you want to see our exhibition about Holocaust?" I said, "Oh, show me." And he showed us ransom. I said, "Half of the people were killed in the forest." "Yes." He said, "I know, I heard about this." And nothing more. Did he change exhibition? No, because we have permanent view of this event. It's very difficult to look on these events a little different. And so it is my personal view. It is very difficult to involve more people in the school program, in the university, to look at as something new.
Thank you, Anara. Carol, please, another question.
Thank you. I do have a follow-up question. Oh my gosh, I don't know how to put things into words. I'm feeling so emotional. I'm so aware that in today's political environment in the United States with Hamas and Israel, that it feels like it's difficult to have a conversation about anti-Semitism, because if you talk about anti-Semitism, then you are automatically anti-Muslim. And I know this is a tension that has existed for centuries. How do we overcome this? How do we have real conversations that make a difference?
I think the same. It's direct and straight contact. By the way, I read yesterday some Muslim society think that study of Holocaust should be in Muslim society in the scope. So as always, some group understand scope because it's strategy, not just only Jewish. It's against humanity. So they understand the same. They don't want to like Islamophobia.
I want to add something. First of all, we need openly to talk about it. Let's go through using the German example. You know, highly anti-Semitic society before World War II. But what Germans did pretty unique thing. They started to talk about it openly. What happened? And there are so many authors, so many research, and the only way to talk and discuss. Some Eastern European countries did not get to this point. I see that, let's say, Baltic states started to talk about it, Latvia and Lithuania. Ukraine, you know, they don't. It's not a good time to start all this conversation. But it is important for Ukraine to talk about it. It will provide understanding and clean up the conscience of the state. Because I perfectly understand how difficult it is to talk about it because of atrocities which happen, and sometimes it's happened by you know, the local people, local police was a big part of it. So I think open conversation in the media, open conversation whenever forum we can have, but it should not be. It should be totally transparent and open. Okay, it's happened, and yes, it was. It was in our country. It was in so many countries around the world, including United States. So obviously not on the scale of killing, but we should have open conversation. The same way we have open conversation about slavery. The same way we have open conversation about other crimes which did not look like crimes 3, 4, 5 centuries ago, but we have to understand. We have to understand and talk and discuss. Okay. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you. Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Leo. Of course, it's all about history, and sometimes it's not centuries, but thousands of years deep. But much more immediate issue, of course, is talking about atrocities that go on today with the current generation. I think there is, or should be, I personally think there is or should be some distinction between historical memory about people who are not with us anymore on all sides and people who commit crimes today. That's quite obvious to us, but it's definitely not obvious to young generation who have no deep perception of history at all. And Marina, please, you have a question. Marina Berlander.
Okay.
Yes, please.
Mike. This is, well, the first time in this format that I'm actually having my picture on. So I'm absolutely I agree with Carol because I think that if Carol realized the importance of history, I realize the importance of history because I look at the younger generation, especially in the United States and also in other countries. They have no idea about history. They have no idea about geography. That is, for me, it was absolutely, you know, a shock. I watched the interview of, it is an Israeli journalist who works in the United States, and she went actually to a demonstration in support of Palestine. In one of I don't remember in which city even, but it doesn't matter.
California.
She started to ask them questions. You say between the sea and the river. Where is the sea and where is the river? I said, oh, it's probably the Black Sea. Another guy says, oh, it's probably the Red Sea. And where is the river? Oh, the river is somewhere in Gaza. What sea is next to Gaza? Oh, it's probably the Red Sea, or probably it's the Black Sea. And then she says, "Why? What is your idea of solving the problem?" And the guy says, "Well, the Jews have to be thrown away from this territory." Why? Are they occupants? So they don't have any idea of the history, who lived in this territory, how the territory was, occupied by other, people, by Turks, by Ottoman Empire, by Romans. They have no idea. And then even, I have a friend of mine, she's a journalist, and she said, oh, Palestinians lived in peace in this place with Jews. I said, please don't mix Palestinians with Philistines, because Palestinians never lived there. There is no nation as Palestinians. They are Arabs. And you cannot occupy the territory that is not a state. You know, this is absolute mixture of ideas and notions that they don't have any idea about. And this is not taught in schools. That is the problem. If kids would know the history, they would have an absolutely different idea about what the world should look like.
Thank you, Marina. Well said. Any more questions or Carol, please? We have
Let
time.
me add, if we introduce history of Middle East course in every school and like travel area of planet, it's probably would be very useful.
Well, you need to pass such a course through the committees, obviously. Carol, I think you had another
Yes.
question, no?
Marina,
Yes,
thank you for your courage in allowing us to see your beautiful face and all of your wonderful books and the light coming through your window. It's beautiful to me.
Well, I hope that you will hear my story next Friday.
Okay. If
Actually,
I can be here.
in 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Yes, in 2 weeks.
I'm so aware of the age of everybody on this call. I mean, look around. Look at our gray hair. It feels, or no hair. It feels like we figure out too late in life that we need to pay attention to history, that we don't pay attention to it when we're young. I remember living through history classes and going, yeah, that'll never happen. I don't need to worry about that. I need to worry about here and now because I want to build a good life. I'm thinking about the now and the future. I'm not thinking about the history. And it didn't dawn on me till late in life how important it is for us to understand our context. So
Do you know-
I don't know. Speak to that. Yes.
Yeah, do you know, Carol, how we say in business, sarcastically, we successfully negotiated among ourselves, you know, and come to the conclusion. Unfortunately, you know, if we can bring more younger people, it will be fantastic. But unfortunately, we are in agreement, all of us. But we need to send a much better message around.
Thank you. More questions, please. We have been here for over an hour, but we have time if somebody wants to comment or ask questions. I had my own question while someone is still thinking. I was very interested in the period in Jewish history between 1939, the beginning of the Second World War, and 1941, the beginning of war between Germany and Soviet Union, because my own family was in Rivne at this time, and of course Rivne was under Stalin's occupation, which inflicted so much atrocities and deportation on Ukrainians. But at this time, a lot of Jews stayed in place, and as far as I understand, didn't try to move en masse, at least, didn't try to move east within the Soviet mainland, and perished exactly because of this. So can you comment on this?
Yes, I can come. I listened to during our research and doing documentary, I listened to several witnesses who survived Holocaust from approximately in that area, Vayn, and so. And all of them tell, and it was part of wide, how would say, expedition when the interviewer asked survival Jewish people how they survive, how they lived before war. It's Spielberg incentive. So all of them say the same. First of all, older generation have experienced German in First World War. Then they came, they was very civilized culture. People, nothing was how they was in the order. They not harm civil population also because Jews speak Yiddish close to German, and some of them know German. They can communicate. So they have a good experience occupation of Ukraine by German. I mean, on personal relation, it's no harm was done. Number one. Number two, at that point, after collectivization and some other persecution, a Jew doesn't believe, not all, but many of them, doesn't believe what government propaganda say. So they doesn't believe that German is bad people. And because they don't have experience, they're not able to read press outside of Soviet Union. And by the way, in Soviet Union, after German pact with Germany, only positive thing was told about German. And they have some common meetings and everything was fine. So when it started suddenly, it was actually too late, but when it started, war started, and government told, no, German, they don't tell actually to German kill Jew, but the German, but they don't believe government propaganda. They think that, okay, German will come and maybe we get rid of Soviet Union. It's the same to some extent that many other ethnic group think about German, especially Ukrainian, but for different, they will bring them freedom. So from Soviet rule. It's why they move. And third one, it was hard to live, especially in Western Ukraine. because it was not organized evacuation in many places. Some yes, if you work on factories or especially government factories, not government, especially important factories, they was evacuated together with equipment and everything. But also, particularly in Ukraine, some of Ukrainian hierarchy complained to the Stalin actually that Jew was not willing, trying to escape, and they're not willing to go to partisan and resist to German. So it was all kind of negative things that prevent from evacuation.
And we have in our family tree, we have two families from Rivne. One family decided to stay in Rivne, and everybody is our aunt, this family. They were killed, and the other family ran on the first day of first day of the war. They ran without anything, and walked through forest and swamp, and maybe on third or fourth day they found train accidentally, and they survived. So it is not easy to say what is they saw, because we have different cases. And of course, if it is very close to border, they didn't have choice. In Rivne, they have choice, but its choice was very small choice to survive. If you go to a little east, it's absolutely different situation. So we could not find to say about everybody, but different places, different cases.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Marina, you have another question? I see your electronic hand still raised. No? Your microphone is off also.
Actually,
Okay.
I'm sorry, I didn't delete my
Okay.
my hand.
That's fine.
But
fine.
Just to add, I just want to add one thing. This situation actually with evacuation is perfectly depicted in the novel by Anatoly Rybakov, which is called The Hard Sand.
Yeah.
And
Yes.
exactly how the family decides to stay, and the tragedy that erases all the family, although there is actually a possibility to leave, but in many places you couldn't leave without a paper. You had to get a paper with a permit to be evacuated. You couldn't get on the train or on the car, whatever, on the lorry, to go away. So some people were they were captured by their own government.
That's what happened to parts of my family. Evacuated with the hospital where my grandfather worked from Odessa, and the other parts, the rest of them perished. We thank you once again for all your time and effort. We will conclude now our 100th meeting of Ukraine discussion platform. We thank Tsal Kaplun Foundation and our today's speakers. We finish by our customary greeting to our viewers in Ukraine. Дорогі брати і сестри в Україні, ми тримаємо вас у наших щоденних думках і молитвах. Нехай милосердний Бог береже вас у своїй опіці. До наступного тижня. Ми прощаємось. Слава Україні! Ам Ісраїл Хай!
Heroin Slava.
Thank you.
Героям слава.
Героям
Thank
слава.
you.
Thank you so much.